It is finally happening, everyone. Tasmania are finally getting an AFL team. And this is everything you need to know about them before they enter the AFL in 2028. First off, let's start with the simple things. Their name, their logo, and their colours. These were all announced on the 18th of March in 2024. At this announcement, it was revealed that the Tasmanian AFL team, who were given the licence to play in the AFL in the year before, were going to be called the Tasmania Devils. This was announced at a big launch event held across the entire state in 6 different locations. The name Tasmania Devils seems to have always been a frontrunner for the club, as the animal itself is an icon of Tasmania. However, it wasn't a sure thing to lock in the name Devils, as the Warner Brothers own the rights to the name Tasmanian Devil somehow. Even though it is a real life animal, somehow they are the rights holders to the name. Now, I'm not a copyright expert, but to me that just doesn't seem right. Anyway, the club went into negotiations with the Warner Brothers and were able to come to an agreement that the club would be called the Tasmania Devils. It's been suggested that this was only allowed once the Warner Brothers realised that the Tasmanian Devil was in fact a real animal and not just some crazy cartoon character. But nonetheless, the logo is now a Tasmanian Devil, and people are divided as to whether the logo is a good one or not. To me, I think it's fine, but to others, they're wondering why on earth it is so goddamn hairy, when a real Tassie Devil has kind of sleek hair and not a flowing mullet. Some other designs that I've seen floating around are ones like this and ones like this, but I think that the hairy Tassie Devil is about right for the club. Some have even suggested that when the logo is laid on its side, it's somewhat similar to the shape of Tasmania, but I guess that's up for you to decide. The name wasn't the only thing that was announced at this launch event, however. The jumper and club colours were also shown to the public for the very first time. Now to some, this jumper was a complete flop, but to others, it was just what they wanted for their state team. The jumper was basically a copy and paste from the under 18s league jumper. For me personally, I would have loved to have seen something more imaginative than just a copy and paste of the under 18s jumper. Mock-ups like this or this would have had such a huge success, I reckon, but maybe they'll be able to do that in the following years. Let's not forget that teams go through a rebrand every few years or so I'm tipping that they'll give us something more exciting when they get to that stage. We've talked about the jumper and the name, but now let's very quickly have a talk about the colours of the Tasmania Devils. At first glance, you would say that they're kind of a dark green and yellow and red, but boy oh boy do I have some news for you. It seems as though they've gotten some absolute dickhead in who likes making everything really super confusing, because the colours are in fact myrtle, rose, and listen to this, primrose. Yes, that's right, myrtle, rose, and primrose. Now I don't know about you, but that is just fucking stupid. Just call it green, red, and yellow. Imagine the Bulldog song going, Sons of the West. Rose, eggshell white, and cobalt. It is so dumb, and I'm just going to move on before I get any more worked up about those fucking colours. Now let me know what you think about the colours in the comment section by commenting what colours you think that they are. Next, let's have a look at the stadium. Now, if you thought that the jumper and colour names were a bit controversial, the stadium controversy takes the cake by a country mile. Let me give you a bit of background in case you weren't familiar. Originally, the AFL said to the Tasmanian government, who we all know has been trying to get a standalone team in the AFL for around 30 years instead of just having the odd game or two in the state every year, they said to them that in order for them to have their own team, they needed to have a new stadium that's up to the AFL standards. This obviously had some people upset, because what are the AFL standards? There are some ancient stadiums like the SCG, which has a relatively small oval compared to the rest of the competition, and the shooter's camera angles of any home ground in the AFL. And then there are the stadiums like the Gold Coast Stadium and GWS, which are so clearly below the standard of the other stadiums in the AFL. So the question was, why does Tasmania need a brand new stadium? Well, I guess we'll never know, because the AFL to this date has never given an explanation. What has instead happened is that the Premier has promised a $715 million stadium to be built at Macquarie Point. This will be a roof stadium and hold around 23,000 people. Now, this isn't as big as you might have thought for an AFL team which raised over 50,000 members in just one day. But beggars can't be choosers, unfortunately. And considering that the state wasn't even going to pay for the stadium at all at one point, and is now committed to funding at least $375 million of the $750 million stadium, I think that it's pretty decent. What's also better to know is that the team will be playing in this new stadium by the time its second season rolls around in 2029. The AFL has made it very clear that this stadium needs to be done as soon as possible, and if it isn't, then the government will have to pay the Tasmania Devils $4.5 million every single year that it's late. And if it isn't at least 60% complete by November 2027, then the AFL will consider pushing back the club's entry into the AFL, or bidding the licence altogether, but I highly doubt that they would do that after spending all that money. For the inaugural year of the Devils, whenever that may be, the home games will be shared between two locations, in Bellarive Oval in Hobart, which I hope I'm saying right, and in York Park in Launceston. These are grounds that should do the job for the very first year. Now, if all of this sounds good to you and you want to join up as a member, let me give you some info about that as well. After the announcement of the club's name, jumper and stadium, the inaugural membership went online for people to purchase. And wowee did they have some success, with 120,000 memberships being purchased in just 2 days, making it the most supported club in the country by membership tally. Now, to be fair, the memberships were only $10, and comparing that to the AFL average membership price of $160 in 2023, I highly doubt that all 120,000 members will continue to pay when the membership climbs to the AFL average. That being said, it is a tremendous show of support by the people of Tasmania, and it definitely is showing the AFL that they can't back out of this promise now. Now, for the moment, this is all you need to know about the Tasmanian AFL team. But if there is new news that comes to light about the Tasmanian Devils, I will be sure to keep you guys updated. So make sure you like and subscribe to stay up to date. I post heaps of other AFL content, so be sure to subscribe and watch a few of those videos as well if you love our great game. But that's all I have for you guys now, so I'll see you in the next one.